Hi there, this is Linda and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm putting together my project life spread for the week of February 7th through February 12th, 2024. That's not actually a full calendar week. Instead, this is just the dates that I was on vacation in St. Lucia. Okay, so this week in Project Life was the week I went to St. Lucia. And so I had a lot of photos. I cropped all of those photos out. I did a few off of the camera. And then I have some stuff from the punctuation kit here. So I shared a video earlier this week sharing my plans for the punctuation kit. But in this kit, I planned out 2 Project Life spreads. And this is one of them. This is the first one, which is the week of February 7th through 12th. Now, this is not a calendar week. This is just the week or the days that I was in St. Lucia so that this spread can be this trip alone and not other life things, because otherwise they would get kind of squished out with all the beautiful vacation photos. So I have an insert here, which I already cropped out, and I decided on these 2 page protector configurations. So I have those ready. And then I have my supplies here. So I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna put it off camera just to have a little more space here, but I'm gonna use that as my base to work on this page and kind of lay everything out. So the first thing I wanted to do before I start laying stuff out is crop this paper down. So I had designed at the beginning that I needed 12 3x4 photos, 3 4x6 photos, and 4 square photos that I was going to mount on this just to break it up a bit. So because this is a travel spread, I'm gonna have a lot of photos. And I do also have a lot of ephemera from this trip, but I'm saving it because, well, some of it went into my journal, and then I am going to probably do a mini album of this vacation. So I'm gonna put it all in there when I get to putting that together. But for now, I'm just trying to document this in Project Life, which means I'm going to be including, a lot of photos and stories from the trip. Because I have so many photos, my spread could get looking like a little bit cluttered or a little busy. I don't love the look when you have just photo after photo after photo on a spread in Project Life. I like it better when you have those broken up by cards. But for this trip, this was a relaxing beach vacation. There were some stories, but not a ton. But first of all, I'm going to have another album, like I said, so I don't need to tell all of the stories here. I also did a lot of journaling on the trip, so the stories are right there. Instead, I really want to focus this spread on the photos, which means I need to include a lot of photos. So what I decided to do was use this exclamation point paper as a base for some of my photos, just to kind of break the spread up and not have so many photos. So I'm just gonna go ahead and lay things out. I'm using the sketch off screen as a template to kind of give me an idea of where things are gonna be. This is my title card here. And I have this one for some journaling about the vacation. This one is going to be like a filler card here. And let's see, I have another one of these to include somewhere, but we'll see as I start putting the photos. So now I'm just gonna start laying out my photos and seeing kind of what makes the most sense. Okay, so this was my initial layout just to get everything down, but I'm gonna move things around. So I'm going to kind of break it up a little bit. So here, this is gonna be my first page. I have my travel thing here. This is gonna be more journaling about it, and then I have journaling here, and that's my only journaling from the week. This exciting is gonna go on top of one of these photos, either that one or this one. I'm thinking the fish photo though makes the most sense. So I'm gonna just put that on top of there. And then I just kind of want to organize things. So let's see, these photos were from a specific like hike location. So I kind of want to put them together. So maybe I'm going to put them on here and have this and this be about that specific adventure that we went on. So that's all of that. And you can see I do have a lot of photos touching, but I'm gonna have this guy here and this here. So I think that's good. And then on here, let's see, I'll put this one here by my title, and just trying to find ways to put things. I think I have too many of these on this one. So I'm gonna maybe put this guy over here to have another paper on this one. So the papers are spread out like one on each spread. So I think that looks like a good layout. So what I'm gonna do now is a look in my stash for some embellishments to add on to the photos and kind of come up with maybe 1 or 2 repeated embellishment clusters. I'm going to look for something to go behind this. I guess I could do this again. You know, I think I'm gonna do that just to keep it in the kit and use more of this paper so everything kind of just coordinates a bit more. So I'm gonna put this guy here like that. And I might add something else on the background there, but not sure what yet. And then I'm gonna do my journaling. So initially I was thinking I was gonna do some type journaling here and print it on sticker paper. But my sticker paper hasn't arrived yet. I ordered it online, and I kind of just wanted to get the spread done. So either that will come in the next few minutes and I will get that typed and printed, or I'll end up just handwriting it. But I'm probably going to do like an overview of the vacation here, and I'm probably gonna do like bullet points on this one of just other little stories from the vacation. Okay, so I went and dug in my stash to find some embellishments I want to use. So I pulled out some word phrase strips. I found some summer themed ones and some general ones in the colors I'm using here. So I have the blues and the grays plus black and white neutrals. So I will probably do some word phrase strip stacks on a few photos. I pulled over my stickers from Everyday Explorers Co. And something I love about Everyday Explorers Co. is that they use like the same color scheme on all of their products, so everything kind of coordinates. So I've got a reading set. This is just like a general stories one, and some travel ones, and an outdoors one, because I think that these I might be able to find some things that work from these, and they will coordinate with each other across the spread. I also found these pieces in my stash. They're like rubber pieces. I feel like they don't really make these too much anymore, but I have all 4 of these were one set, and I think I could use all 4 on the spread to kind of use that item up. And then I pulled out my chipboard. This is my travel themed chipboard, but I might go into my stash of chipboard and pull out a few other themes and come up with some that might make sense on some of the photos. So I'm gonna use these as different treatments of the photos. I might do the same thing on like all of these ones or something like that, but I'm not entirely sure what my plan is yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and start working on that and get this spread put together. Okay, so I'm really starting out with my embellishments, and I feel like I do a travel spread a little bit differently than another spread or a regular weekly spread, because everything is just kind of one theme from the trip, at least for a vacation like this where I just went to one location and all of my photos are really from that location. There were a few like specific events, like I went for a hike, and some of those photos in my insert there are from the hike, but most of the time I was just relaxing by the pool or the beach. And so that's really what most of my photos are of. I do have the one photo on the far left of my passport and my boarding pass, just as I am like leaving for vacation. But other than that one travel photo, everything is taken at the resort. So I'm not really worried about like putting things in any chronological order or lumping various stories together. I'm more just focused on what balances the spread and looks good. So I'm working on putting my embellishments down. You saw a little earlier the things that I pulled over from my stash. So I'm using these rubber words. And I feel like the scrapbooking industry has moved away from the rubber embellishments a little bit. And they're so cute, but they don't hold up super well. And they don't, especially if you use some sort of liquid adhesive, but I found that the red line tape works really well for them. So that is what I'm doing to adhere those onto my photos. I would definitely recommend, if you are concerned about that, either using red line tape or adhering them to the outside of the page protector, because that is something that I have found that when I go back and look at older albums, maybe the rubber ones don't hold up, but I'm not too concerned because these photos, I have them digitally. Worst case, I can print those back out again. So I'm just happy to have them documented in my album. For these photos here, I have these 4 photos that I cropped to squares and I put them on this pattern paper. Like I said earlier in the video, I did that so that I could balance out the spread a little bit, to not just have photo after photo after photo, but have that like break in for your eye, the resting place of the background paper. And I wanted to give them all the same treatment. So I used my word phrase strips to add a couple of word phrase strips on each one. And I have one of those on each page. Those 2 in the middle look like they're next to each other, but those are on my insert. So they're going to actually be back to back. And you'll see that in a bit as I start putting things in the pockets. Next, I'm moving on to these stickers and working on using the Everyday Explorer co-stickers on a few of the photos. For this plastic word from the punctuation kit, I decided to use the red line tape. You saw I tried to use my rolling adhesive and it just didn't work on the back of the plastic. The red line tape is definitely a stronger, better adhesive, but it's a lot more annoying to use. So sometimes I try to get away with using the rolling adhesive when I really shouldn't. You can see I'm struggling to peel the red line tape off the back, but it does work really well. It's going to hold something on there very, very securely. And so I'm just putting that on this photo of fish. I went snorkeling and I have a GoPro. So I took my GoPro in the water to take some photos underwater. And I got this photo of the fish. And I thought that this would be a fun way to kind of highlight that photo by putting the exciting word on top of it. I'm going through the rest of the stickers and just like picking out things to go on various spots on the spread. Like I said, I'm really just focusing on all the photos on the spread and having them across the spread, really taking up most of my page. But I like to use the same kind of, you saw how I created a little, almost like a mini kit of supplies to pull from my stash. And I'm just using those across the entire spread so that there's some cohesiveness throughout the page. Now I'm working on this card here. So my plan was to put this exclamation point that is made out of felt from the punctuation kit on this card and stick it right there. So you'll see that that's my plan, how it looks there. But what happens is when I try to put it in the pocket, I realize that felt exclamation point is so thick that I don't like it. So I do end up taking it apart and adhering that felt on the outside of the pocket. You see, this is where I'm going to do this here. So what ends up happening is I get a new card for the backing, and then I take that exclamation point off and put it on the outside of the page protector. And that is a good reminder that you can adhere things outside the page protector. Like the rubber embellishments that I used, I could have adhered them all outside the page protector. And then worst case, if they don't last or they melt, they're not going to mess up your photo. They're just going to mess up the page protector, which you can always replace with a fresh one if you need to. But your photo or memorabilia won't be disturbed. So you can see there, I just stuck that in the pocket, and then I'm putting some more red line tape on the back of the exclamation point to add it onto that pocket. I typically don't slip things in the pockets while I'm working on a spread, but I often do that when I'm working with a insert, because you can see like the entire spread doesn't fit on my screen here, and so it is a little cramped on my desk. And there is more desk that you don't see on the camera, but not that much more before you run into like my computer or my supply organization. So I like to get these things in the pocket, especially in this insert, because then I can kind of put that to the side and pull the other spreads over to work on them. So my insert here on this backhand side is mostly from that one kind of hike we did, and the rest of the spread is just, random photos from the vacation. So now I'm working on the left-hand page. I have my insert out of the way, my title card. I just stamped the dates on there, and I'm just cropping things down to slip them in the pockets just because it feels so cluttered working on my desk with everything slipping and sliding around. And I'm pretty sure about the order of the photos because that's really kind of one of the main things I was thinking about when laying everything out was how I like the balance of everything on the spread. I'm going to do the same for this side, and then I'm going to move on to my journaling. So in the beginning of this video, I talked about how I wanted to do some typed journaling on that card right there, the 4x6 card. And that was my original plan, to do it on clear sticker paper, which did in fact actually arrive while I was working on the spread. I was expecting it to come at some point during this day. So I did have it at this point, but when I was thinking of an alternative plan, I realized I had this Alphas Are Awesome stamp set that was just a fun font, and I thought I wanted to write out the word St. Lucia really large on the spread because that's where I was on vacation, and I didn't add that anywhere. Typically when I go on a vacation, I will use the title of where I am in the on the title card, but because it had the exclamation points and question mark on that title card, I just kind of let it kind of speak for itself. So I didn't say St. Lucia anywhere, and I wanted that on my spread. So I stamped that out here, and then I decided that with the stamping, handwriting would probably look better. It was also easier to do, but I will use the sticker paper to print journaling on some other projects and possibly in Project Life soon so I can share that process. I'm just looking off camera while I'm doing my journaling at my Hobonichi cousin. I brought my Hobonichi cousin with me on this vacation, and I did daily journaling as we were living to document what was going on in my reflections and stuff in the moment. And so I have that as a reference in doing this journaling, which is a great way for me, or the way that my system of scrapbooking really works, that I journal in the moment. And then my journal is always there when I'm ready to go back and scrapbook whatever the event is. So this spread I put together probably about a month or a month and a half after this vacation. And it is now almost April, and I still have not put together my mini album from this vacation, and I don't know when I'm going to get to it. I'm not too stressed about it because I do have all this journaling to reference when I am ready to go back and put together that mini album. So that is something I highly recommend if you are taking on Project Life or you're unsure about taking on Project Life. The number one tip I have is to keep some sort of documentation in the moment outside of your Project Life album where you can document the words, whether it's a digital app or a journal or your planner, just somewhere where you can write down kind of what happens so that when you're ready to scrapbook it, you can always reference that and know what stories you want to tell. On this card here, I'm just doing some bullet points of the rest of the stories from this week. They are all related to the travel, of course, but the one on the right-hand side there is of just kind of an overview. And then the left-hand side is the journaling of just random little points. So here's a look at that completed spread. Like I said, there's an insert. So I have the left-hand side and then the right-hand side. I did end up adding a tab to this once I put it in my album. And you'll be able to see that in some future videos when I flip through this album. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.